And let me welcome my good friends Ben Achina Brentio and Malik Abbas Dabo. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
And how we doing?
Fire this morning.
By God's grace, we are well.
You're on fire this morning.
Thank you. I'm very encouraged by the young people we are going to speak to. I'm so excited when I find people who are doing something, because I can imagine, what if a certain man we all know and respect and doesn't
mention the name, Bodinu.
What if Kwesi Chum had not started Joy FM in 1996? Where would we be?
That's true.
Absolutely.
It sings with the song you were just playing. Senya Yesu na domwa ankaye wo hini.
Oh yeah. Enye
Kwesi Chum na domwa.
Ben Achina singing.
He's actually Deacon Ben.
Exactly.
Of the Church of Pentecost Achimota, New Achimota.
Yes. But that is the truth. The future is actually in entrepreneurship. We are actually on our own. If you look at the cost of doing business in Ghana, if you look at the fact that the public services are choked, if you look at the fact that employers no longer can manage the kind of employees on their hands, truly, individuals must fend for themselves. And in doing so, you must have an eye for business opportunities. Start something, get it, and get it to serve you one way or the other. So for those of them who are already on something, we welcome them here. We are ready to learn from them, and I'm sure our listeners too. Hopefully, we will all be able to start something.
As well.
Yes, I think Achina is already inspired.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do what's on the front page of the Finder now, Ben.
I'll start with the Finder. SSNIT TUC in a fight over computation of pension benefits. I also have World Bank pledges support for free SHS and digitization agenda. Customers appeal for speedy payment by Gold Coast Fund. Also, no Ghana Post GPS, no business registration, according to the Registrar General.
Okay, that's interesting. I have the graphic business. Reduce appetite for external borrowing. That's an economist urgent government. Cautions on the back of 3 billion bond sale. Also on the front page of the graphic business, students shying away from banking finance courses. That's one other story here. MTN acquires selected assets of Gold Key. Back page of the graphic business, government secures $230 million for mini grids project. 55 isolated communities to benefit.
This is what the Daily Guide is reporting. Vandals hack electric pylons. Also, 67-killer driver was over speeding. Again, kidnapped baby's mother admits mistake. World Bank backs free SHS, and that's all for the Daily Guide.
The New Crusading Guide newspaper, missing Lebanese businessman sighted in Lebanon. World Institute of Peace trains 1,000 students to be self-reliant. It's our turn to produce Gamancha. Abola Piamwe is saying that. And 31 countries support peace between Morocco and Western Sahara. Those are the stories here.
The Daily Statesman, vigilantism equals violence and crime. World Bank to back free SHS, as already said. Then also, CD Max stunning recovery, bounces back in record time after economic management team's action.
The Ghanaian Times newspaper has that story about the sabotage, criminals vandalizing Akusumo power plant, plunge Accra Temakumasi into darkness. That's the lead story here. We will achieve Ghana Beyond Aid vision within next decade. That's the president assuring, and VIP honored by Alma Mater in Britain. Back page of the Ghanaian Times newspaper, Asamoah benched on tactical reasons. That's Coach Appiah explaining. Stars face Mauritania today.
The Economy Times, economy to absorb $3.5 billion within a month to bolster the cedi. Also, aftermath of IMF, ECF, economic spell-out solutions for economy. And also Ghana among RBM's 2019 top to invest destination in Africa.
That's a story we reviewed yesterday in the newspapers. But the Daily Graphic newspaper has this banner headline: EC bears teeth, moves to enforce law, deploys officers to inspect party offices across the country. And GS deploys technology to hasten salary payments. Activities of thieves collapse high tension tower. Back page of the Daily Graphic newspaper, Swedro Municipal Guard, 3 others in assault video remanded, and local government ministry inaugurates project in Sekendi, Takrady. Those are the stories on the back page of the Graphic newspaper, the last paper we are reviewing this morning.
Of course, and we will begin with that kidnapped boy who has been found.
Yes, the front page of the Daily Guide gives us some insight account into how this missing boy was missing in the first place. Now we know that the boy has been found and united with the family. We are told that the police, through a concerted effort with the media and some members of society, were able to discover the boy from where those who had taken him had hidden him previously. Now the police have given hints that in the course of the day they're going to give full disclosure. The family has remained tight-lipped on the subject matter, and the family is also respecting the protocols of the police, and they are also not releasing any information to the public. The mother of the baby is Nana Akosua Bawa, and the husband is Ahia Benu. As we know, the mother is a petty trader in the Takoradi market circle, and the baby thief actually posed as somebody who wanted to be kind to the mother, who was apparently busy selling her goods, but she had other motives. We all know the story now, that she bolted away with this particular baby. What this is bringing to mind is that when our police services, when our security agencies, when the media, when society link up with this department, a lot of results can be achieved. This happened, and within 24 hours, result is here with us. I do believe that if this effort is channeled into finding the 3 Takoradi missing girls, we are hopeful that we're going to get results. We are also using this medium to appeal to all parents to be very, 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 very minded that children are gifts from God. Children are gifts from God. It is extremely important that we allow the care that God took to give these children to us to be also in us, to extend it to our children, because too often you see parents being too negligent when it comes to taking care of their children.
Very true.
The way they spank them, the way I see little kids crossing and going home on their own. It's about time we realize that we don't have to lose them before we realize that they are assets to us. This is a conversation I've been having with my editor, and he can confirm that.
And I think that the mother of the baby herself admits an error in allowing her child to follow a total stranger to wherever they were going under the pretext that this woman was going to buy her something. I think too many times we take too many things for granted, and we tend to be negligent in these things. I think this is a very important lesson for anyone handling business. But moving on from...
But guys, before we move on, let's just take a minute to celebrate the police. They have done very well. They did this very quickly, and you can see the efforts that they put into finding these girls. We think that it's something that must be done. And when I heard this sound, honestly, it was like music to my ears. And that's a joyful family receiving their baby. We still have the families of Prisla Crunchy, who is 15, Prisla Blessing Bentung, who is 21, and Ruth Love Quason. They are still waiting for their girls. So please, the hashtag is still bring back our tardy girls. If you see something, say something. Malik.
Yeah, so moving on from a found missing baby to a detained chief. The Odikro of Wassa Abresha in the Wassa Amenfi East District of the Western Region, Nana Amua Bediako II, is being held in police custody. Daniel, you know what his crime is? And he's being held at the Asakrigwa Divisional Headquarters for assaulting a police officer. Now, this chief he went to the police station, parked his car in front of the police station. His attention was drawn to where he parked the car as inappropriate, and he took offense because he was being told to move his car from where he parked it to another location within the precincts of the police station. But Nanamua Bediako II took offense, and he slapped the police officer, punched him in the face, held his neck, and then there were 5 other heavily built men who were with him, and all of them pounced on the police officer and then beat him up. Now, when attempts were being made to arrest him, another police officer who comes from this area prevented the police from arresting him. But eventually he was arrested, and he's facing charges of assault on a public officer, causing unlawful damage to police accoutrements, and threats of harm, because he's reported to have told the police officer, the station officer, that I will kill you. So that's why he's faced with this threat of harm as well. One of the 3 charges that he's facing in respect of this. Once again, citizens attacking a police officer. How can an ordinary citizen clothed with traditional authority go to a police station, given a simple order, move your car from where you have parked it? How can that degenerate into an assault on the police officer at the police station? The arrogance of it itself, if these facts are borne out as are laid out in this story, you would wonder why a chief, one clothed with traditional authority, would take the law into his own hands and assault a police officer at no less a place than the police station itself.
It tells you the kind of impudence, really, that this man had. And as much as we put pressure on the police to do what is right and to do their jobs, we must also understand that we cannot condone what citizens do to flout the law in the first place, and also against the police themselves.
That's true.
Because in the end, we can't destroy the institution which has been set up to protect us. That's counterproductive on our end.
Except that when citizens begin to feel that the police are not working for them, then of course they know that they are against
Yeah, but
them.
in this case, it's just a mere action of move your car from where you have parked it.
Exactly.
How does that, if the facts are laid out here,
Sure.
how should that
No,
degenerate?
that's true.
You know
to
what?
it is?
Speaking of what we want the police to do for us, this morning we have been asking listeners to send us in pictures and videos of things they feel the police must do. We are driving to work, you're driving to your destination this morning. The police will be joining us in studio today. So join the conversation by telling us what you think the police can do on the streets to make them safer. We have so many already. Kofi Kisiedu is actually in Ouagadougou, but he says, Daniel, tell the police to stop taking money from traffic offenders and rather punish them to serve as a deterrent to others. The massive traffic on the 37 to airport stretch is insane. Shouldn't the police allow traffic lights to work and only control the cars blocking the road even when the light turns red? So that's an interesting observation that you made. You can also send in your observation on 0244 340 437 at Joy 997 FM is the Twitter handle. Joy 99.7 FM is the Facebook page. Parliament was a scene of drama yesterday. Achena.
So we fly into New Zealand. We'll land also in southern part of Africa, then to the Parliament of Ghana. Well, what we are being told is that our parliamentarians snubbed their own indigenes and actually paid homage to foreigners. And this is the story of the New Zealand shooting, in which somebody got up one day in a frolic of his own and opened fire on people who were worshipping their God. Also, we know that what do we call it? Cyclone Ida have ravaged persons in southern part of Africa. We're talking about Malawi, we're talking about Zimbabwe, and one other country in which many people have died. Then we also know that just last Friday, Ghana lost about 62 of indigents. Now, our country, which is part of the Committee of Nations, is supposed to play its international obligation as that of what it owns to its citizens. But what is raising eyebrows is that our parliamentarians chose to pay a minute silence to these foreign countries, ignoring that of their own indigents. Now, the concern being read, as I said, I heard it on Joy News last night, is that it might not be deliberate, because apparently these things had been filed. Those of the foreign homage had been filed, and in Parliament you don't just get up and act. So it was the turn for these things to be done, and it was done. It's also understood that they've also filed motions hoping that it will be allowed for that of Ghana to be respected, so that homages can be paid to the people who perished
But
their
except
life.
that our own colleague, Joseph Opoku-Gapo, pointed out that in times past, there have been instances when parliamentarians and ministers have appeared before the House, given the exigencies of a situation and a matter which has happened, and those persons have made urgent statements without having to go through the rigorous rules of filing a motion and filing a paper before the House, and the Speaker seeing it before, and the persons being then called to make the statements on the floor of the House. That the rules do permit, in some instances,
like the Oslo Chancery incident.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
So, and if any of the members of Parliament was so minded, And of course, we do know that statements have been fired, which will be taken later on. But if they were so minded, they could have just joined in and asked for a minute silence for
the last bit is that it does appear that we do not trust our parliamentarians, or that's the perception, because if you look at the history, going to parliament late, if you look at the history, not attending to urgent matters, people who are billed to speak on the floor of the parliament not being available for question, all of these things are feeding into those kinds of perceptions.
Interesting observation there, though of course would have to be a bit careful with fueling them. The Osajifo power badge theft. Malik, is there an update we should
Yeah, so you remember that I did this story about Osajifo power badge, some 4 police officers who were caught stealing items, pylons, cables, refrigerators and all of that from these. They were loading them into a van and were arrested by the police. These 4 cops, the docket on them has been submitted to the Attorney General's department, and this power badge is at Efasu in the Hafasini area, and these guys were stealing these items from there and they were arrested. A docket has now been submitted to the Attorney General's department, and it is being studied by the AG's department, which will then determine whether a case should be brought against Peter Zato, Lance Corporal Peter Zato, Ibrahim Muhammad, and the two other police officers who were caught engaged in this stealing. And then remember when I did the story at the time, I said that this is the second time a similar theft is being reported on this power barge, this 77-meter power long power generation floating vessel at Efasu. In 2004, on April 4th to be specific, another theft was recorded. And in that case, in fact, the items were far larger. The volume of things that they were stealing from the barge were far larger than this. But of course, those two were retrieved. And the equipment at the time included a power generator, boxes of new filters, electrical cables, large numbers of transformers and radiators, generation units, as well as other fittings were all stolen in 2004, but they were later retreated. So we wait to see what the Attorney General's department
would come
determination of the docket is, and whether prosecution should commence in respect of these 4.
But let's stay with the power sector and criminals in there, because we are being asked that we are being told that criminals have vandalized the Akosombo power plant.
Yes, so yesterday you remember that Energy Minister our friend Peter Mau led a team of journalists to this area where a pylon, and when we talk about pylon, this is the large poles that carry electrical cables, the high tension poles. It was one of those pylons that was vandalized. In fact, a hacksaw was used to cut the pylon down. It will cost Gridco $50,000 to replace this pylon, but this pylon carries cables that convey power to large parts of the country. Tema, that smelter, the Valco smelter, all of that. And this pylon was cut down, affecting power generation or power supply to these areas. The minister was very upset about this. He said that he suspects some sabotage by some persons who have political motives. Adam Mutawakil, who is minority spokesperson on energy, yesterday condemned the vandalization of this of this property, but said that he did not think that it should be linked to any political motives. Nonetheless, Peter Mo's belief is that there cannot be any sensible explanation as to why any citizen will go and cut down this pylon other than political motives.
Well, when we catch them, we can ask them, can't we?
Absolutely. So and after they cut, they left the hacksaw there, all the bolts and nuts that they loosened and that tumbled this pylon. Everything was left there, and then the persons bolted.
It will be good for us to find them first.
But Daniel, we should expect that people in positions of authority should be more responsible, because you cannot call for investigation while already saying that it was politically motivated. If you know the people, why will you investigate?
Interesting thoughts there. But let's talk about the ease of doing business now. The Registrar General.
Yeah, very, very important conversation. I think yesterday in a press meeting, Mrs. Jemima Owari made it known that now you cannot register your business with the Registrar General if you do not have a GPS address. So for those of our entrepreneurs who are going to start their own businesses, in the course of registering, you need to have a GPS address. Not only that, she's also saying that in order to harmonize all the business related agencies, once you go to the Registrar General's form, you'll be given a form. On that form, you have to fill your details for GRA, you have to fill your details for SNET, and also local government authority details and the GPS, which we just spoke about. So that is the information that the Registrar General put across. What is becoming very clear is that if people want to start their own businesses, then it's also important that the call by the GIA recently, Ghana Association of Ghana Industries, that the CD is much more stabilized is very much important. It is also very much important that government harmonize the entire business atmosphere, because if people start their own businesses and their wares cannot be bought, then really what is the point? There's much to be said on this, and I'm sure in course of the discussion,
especially since
panel,
we have
exactly
these
so.
business. But I think the key of it is that when you go to the RGD, the Registrar General's Department, you can register for the Ghana Post GPS and all these other things right there. I think that's a good idea, so that it makes it more convenient for people to do these. And this morning, the dollar is going to, you can buy the dollar for 5 cedis, 15 pesos. 5.15 Ghana cedis. So something is happening in that respect. But finally, Malik, the EC is baring its teeth.
Yes, the EC is attempting to bare its teeth again. It's tried this in the past. Nothing much came out of it. I remember in 2016, the Electoral Commission at the time decided that out of the 23 registered political parties, only 2, the dominant parties, i.e. the National Democratic Congress and the New Patriotic Party, those were the parties which complied with the Political Parties Act 2000, Act 574, which requires that all registered political parties must have offices at the national level, at the regional level, and at least 2/3 of the districts at the district level. Unfortunately, in that 2015 report, which was compiled by the Electoral Commission itself, only 2 parties had at least had met this requirement to have offices in at least 144 of the 216 districts at the time. I remember at the time, some of the smaller parties were very upset. Bernard Mona, who is the national chairman of the PNC, specifically said that he didn't think that the EC should concern itself with parties not having offices in all of these districts. He said his political party, for example, had demonstrated resilience and tenacity and had competed in every election since '92. And therefore, if it didn't meet that requirement, that was not sufficient basis for the Electoral Commission to seek to have problems with the party. But the EC, again, is sending out officials to go to all the districts to ensure that this aspect of the political parties law is enforced. They've inspected the national offices. They're going to inspect the regional offices as well to be sure that the law is complied with.
Thanks, Malik. Thanks, Achana. Let's go online now. And the online news review is brought to you by Zenith Bank, in your best interest, and Goyle Good Energy. Now, the Zenith Health Walk is back again. It's happening on Saturday, March 30, 2019 at the Zenith Bank head office located on the Independence Avenue. The time is 6 a.m. prompt. Don't be left out. Join customers and staff for a good dose of exercise and lots of fun. Remember, it's the Zenith Health Walk happening at 6 a.m. prompt on Saturday, March 30, 2019 at the Zenith Bank head office. Save the date. See you there, Zenith Bank, in your best interest. Now, Goyle, your multiple CIMG award winner and #1 OMC, salutes all Ghanaians as we celebrate our proud history and heritage. Your freedom comes with choosing Goyle, so just continue to patronize our quality fuel, superior lubricants, reliable gas supplies, and other trusted services, and you will feel the good energy. Together with you, our customers, we have supported the nation, and together with you, we will continue the partnership to grow our economy. Be a patriot every day. Buy Goyle. Let's grow Ghana. Goyle, good energy. Goyle. Yanara Yedia. MyJoyOnline.com begins with the little drops of entrepreneurs who are making a mighty ocean. Okay, so it's a profile of our guests from yesterday. Joyce Owusu of Purple Trends and Bright Aferi, Hail Bill Shoes. Read more about them on myjoyonline.com. Multi-TV MD Adum TV's Ifeapoku are big winners at Gold Coast Excellence Awards. Congratulations to our colleagues there. AdomOnline.com has General Legal Counsel blamed for law school brouhaha. They are being blamed by Alhaji Inusa Hussaini, a member of Parliament's Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee. BBC.com says Kenyan judges want consent age to be lowered. The age for sexual consent, they wanted lowered from the current 18 years to 16 years. Interesting thoughts there. We're going to go for these important messages. We will be right back.
As an executive, every transaction needs